I'm going to ask us to begin in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. And I'm going to invite you to put your palms up. And God, we start open with our hands open today. And a new school year, a new faith formation year, and we have so much opportunity and responsibility as parents. And we just ask, God, that you fill us this year. You fill us, you nudge at us, you hold us as we do the most important work we will ever do, which is growing another human being. Amen. Okay, so we are here today to talk to you about a family piece of the First Communion program that you are going to be participating in, okay? And we're super, super excited to share this with you today. And it is not going to be overwhelming, okay? So just, okay. I think it's going to actually be very beneficial in your family life, but you're going to get a chance to tell us because this is the pilot of this program. So the bishop has gone ahead and given Father Tim and myself permission to begin this program this year in 2 parishes. So it's actually starting at Christ Cathedral Academy, the school at our cathedral, in their 2nd grade program, and then it's starting for this parish program. So you guys are actually going to have a chance to participate in it and to evaluate it, and your input is going to be very, very valuable to us and to the future parents that have this in their homes. What we kind of bring to the table is I was a youth minister for 10 years at San Antonio Church in Anaheim Hills, and actually Father Tim was a 14-year-old there at the time, okay? And through such a blessing, he has been ordained and is a priest in our diocese and now here, and he is passionate, very, very passionate about families. And so I am working with him, and I have for the past 5 years. I've done youth ministry, and I've worked for our diocesan offices for about 20 years, just working with youth ministers and DREs. But now I actually am out, and I have a little business venture, whatever, called Faith and Family Collective. And what I do is I have a daughter who's 28. She's actually at another parish today. But we speak all throughout Southern California, and we're actually out of the state to support parents and encourage you in this huge, important task that you have of raising another human being. And to help us as parents in our own faith lives. I found that when I was raising my own kids that there wasn't a ton of information for me, like a prayer, here's a prayer to say in your home, or here's this is a way you can talk to your kids about Jesus. And so I eventually began giving the talks that I needed as a parent and creating some of the resources that I needed in my home. And so I have been on a mission to share those with parents and families to help you be able to share faith in your home in very relevant ways for today's modern family. Okay? Got that? We're together? Okay, good. Now, you have your kids here to receive First Communion. And what we've been kind of seeing is we have, as a church, kind of created a system where you bring your kids for First Communion or for catechesis, whatever level, and they come in classrooms and teachers teach them, and then we as parents pick them up and then usually take them to soccer practice or wherever else we have to go after that, okay? But all the statistics are showing us that you are the most important educator in your children's life. And so at meetings, we tell you, the church in your home is the most important one, but we haven't necessarily equipped you to teach and talk about that. You are here because you want your kids to have this faith. You're investing, you're giving your time, you're bringing them here. But I am here to tell you that everything is showing us that if it isn't also in your home, it doesn't stick for the long run. It doesn't stick for the long run. So when the retreat's over, when First Communion's over, if it isn't something you value, your kids won't value it. And so I know in some ways First Communion has kind of been, it's almost like this cultural thing, like, well, we are Catholic, I mean, maybe we don't get, but everybody has to make their First Communion. And we got to get the pictures, and we have to, say that happened. But it could be so much more than that. And we want this to be not something that you just do, but to be the essence of who your family and your children are. And for that to happen, we have to get you. We have to get you. So we have created a program that is going to help you teach in your homes. You have the box, you have your curriculum, okay? It only needs to happen once a month. It only needs to happen once a month in your house. And the sessions, which we're calling family meetings, are about 20 to 30 minutes. If you are lucky enough to one day raise your kids and have them talk about, oh my gosh, here's something we used to do in my family. We used to get together once a week and have this short little family meeting. And we talked about stuff that really matters. And my parents used to teach us about just little simple things about how to treat others and how to make good decisions. I think that would feel like success. I think your homes, my home, is a classroom. Our kids learn how to love there, how to forgive there. You are literally right now putting a conscience into your kids, their whole decision making. And so how important it is for us to be meeting and thinking about the things that we're saying. So we're equipping you. This box has the first 3 months of lessons. So the first one will be for October, November, and December, okay? It just is gonna have to, you're gonna find a spot for it to be one time a month for about 20 to 30 minutes. Okay, I raised 2 kids. I have a daughter that's 28 and I have a son that's 25. And my son played baseball his entire life. I mean, like literally into his entire life. And my daughter danced, and we were super, super busy. And I know as parents, we have to prioritize. So somehow you have prioritized this time for First Communion, and I want to make it stick even more by having you prioritize a little bit to have it happen not just in a classroom, but in your living room also. So I am going to go through these lessons, first lesson with you, and kind of show you how you could teach in your home, okay? The first thing is environment, okay, environment. So when I came in, Tim, turn the light all the way off for a minute. Okay, thank you. Okay, good, thank you, dear. So if you came in, and right now, at first the lights were on full blast, okay, when I came in, okay, then I put them like this, and I was like, no, that'll be too creepy, okay, so then I put them halfway, okay, because when you enter a room, the way it's set up says something to us. So if I was talking really close, as you came in, sit down, go ahead and put your hands, you know something important, we're gonna kind of do something different. The exterior informs the interior. So when we want to meet with our kids and have something that's different than we usually do, instead of like going, oh my gosh, everybody get in here, we're going to pray, we're going to do it right now. We have to do it for 20 or 30 minutes. Okay, let's go. Right now, come and sit down. We could do that, okay? Or we could just quietly start turning off some lights in our house. Can you guys go close and light a candle and set a space that says something different is happening? Okay, there is, in the Danish culture, there is a principle that they have called hygie. It's called hyggen, actually, but it looks like hygie, H-Y-G-G-E, okay? And what's very important to them is the intimacy with other people. They like spaces that people want to stay in. And that's what hygiene is. So when you go on their Yelp, okay, and you look at, is this place, is the food good, is this and that, one of the most important things is going to be, how was the hygiene? And that means, is this a place that I wanted to stay and people wanted to stay longer and talk together? So the idea is, how do we in our homes set this space where we have tons of pillows and everybody in their pajamas, or just to make a space that feels cozy and warm? Because the big part, our homes are supposed to be a refuge. I think when my home is the best, I think it's kind of like a greenhouse. It's like a place that my kids can kind of be refreshed. I can control the temperature. I can kind of tell them, you're not enough, you're this, you're that, so that they can then still make it in this outside soil. But somehow when they come into our homes, we need to find moments to have the safe space that they want to be in and come back to. One of the biggest blessings I have is that my kids still, a young adult, they love to come over and have game nights. And some people are like, oh gosh, your family likes to hang out with you. That's so awesome. And I'm like, no, that was hard work. That was really hard work. And that happened when they were 5 and 7. And that made having family time and deciding that was a priority. Because if not, they don't know that as that place. So I'm hoping that this process will allow you intentional time with your family and also to have some meaningful conversations. Do I think this is going to go exactly as planned? No, because we're going to throw 5 and 7 and 10-year-olds into the mix, okay? And so so it's going to be very organic, okay, and messy. But here's the idea. When I signed Joseph up for baseball, the first kind of couple weeks we went, it was kind of awkward. He didn't know everybody, he didn't know the coach, he didn't know, maybe how to hit and all these things. But it was important to us as parents for him to be part of a team, so we kept going back and going back and going back. If this is important to us, then we have to keep trying it and trying it and trying it, because it tells our family this is important in our home. Okay, you might want to go half back with the thing. Thank you, dear. Okay, so now we're not going to have as much hygiene right now. Okay, we're just it's not as cozy. Okay, so we're going to go through a lesson. Okay, like I said, you have the first 3 lessons. You're going to end up getting 10. At the family faith days that you have, you'll continue to get more lessons. Everything you need is in here. You don't even have to go to Target or Michael's. No, it's in this box, okay? I'm in each week. You can open your box, yes. You have a lesson plan. This is what it looks like. This is your lesson. You teach off this, okay? And I would just suggest that you read it through before the night, okay? The faith that is having the best retention of families, who do you think that is? Does anyone know what faith would be having the best retention of keeping families in their religion, in their Mormon. Thank you. Yes, Mormon. Okay, because they intentionally, they do this every Monday night. I'm like, oh, no. Catholics, there's just no way. Okay, we could never pick the night. We could never say it's Monday. You know what I mean? So let's just start where we're at once a month and see how this works and what you guys find, okay? Father Tim went to one of those last night. And he actually went to a family home evening with a Mormon family. And what was so crazy is that their young adult son Skyped in. He's away at college. But because he is bought into that family, on Monday night, he still Skypes in and is a part of, because they think they know they're continuing to develop him, okay? So this is your first, these 10 lessons, they follow the course of the Mass. So the first thing we do at Mass is we gather. The second thing we do is we do the Lord have mercy, we forgive. We have mercy on us. The next thing we do is we listen to the readings. So each of these will follow a piece of the Mass, and eventually it'll tie into it on the lesson, but it's a lot about seeing how the things we do at Mass are things that are happening in your homes as well. Okay, so I'm going to go through the first one with you a little bit just to give you an idea, and then you guys can ask any kind of questions that you have. The first lesson is setting kind of a ritual or a tradition to how you do this each time. And they're saying that today's young people, because of the chaos, so many things and so overwhelming all the time, that anything that has a pattern is very calming and very good, is a very good thing to establish. They say that in your home, traditions are the glue that holds your family together, the way we do things, So there's going to be a way that you do this, and you're going to establish it the first time. I'm not going to read this to you. You'll be able to read it at home, but basically for this first meeting, you're going to choose with your family, let's decide where we want to meet each month. So, we want to meet at our couch, at our kitchen table. I told you maybe stuff a bunch of pillows and I'll jump in there. I don't know. That's up for you. And maybe to decide some things like we're not going to have any screens or phones on. We're going to focus on each other, no screens and phones. The next thing is we have given you something to mark that space sacred. So in your box you have this piece, this cloth, and Tim's going to bless all these boxes, Father Tim at the end. So you have this to set at your space, okay? And then you also have a picture of the Holy Family to pull out each time and have your kids set this up. And to light and maybe some of these things, like we're suggesting you light a candle, but there's no candle in your box. If you have a candle, you can light one. You do not have to go and purchase one. I'm not selling candles, okay? So you have a candle. So I'm going to talk about that first. That's what you would set out. This. If you have a cross or a crucifix or statues or any kind of religious artifacts or mementos, you could put those out here as well, okay? So, that is how you will gather. You will put this down, you'll light the candle, and then you're going to create a special family handshake. And everybody has to be involved with this. And whatever kind of crazy handshake that you come up with, that each person is somehow a piece of, okay? That says this is the Hurwitz family, and we're all one. And maybe eventually in 20 years you're going to look at each other and go, remember that handshake? Do you guys still remember that? Okay, let's do it, okay? So you're going to have a special family handshake, and then there is a prayer, the same prayer each time for the first communicant, the child who's preparing for First Communion to read, okay? It's very simple. It's the same each time. This is not meant for just the First Communion child. This is meant for your entire family together, okay? So they would read this prayer. Then on the back, each time there's an activity. This time, the activity, we're talking about gathering, and we're trying to realize that we have an identity as a family and as individual people. So we're going to experience our faith different, each of us, by our personalities and things like that. So what the activity is that everyone in your family has to go and find something in your home that reminds them of Jesus. So just everybody right now is going to go somewhere in our house and find something that reminds them of Jesus and bring it back to our prayer table, and then you're going to discuss why you chose that. And that will be very telling for some of just to kind of know what your child is even thinking about when they're thinking about who Jesus is, okay? After that, it's saying that every family is special and holy and has its own purpose. And so you are then, as a family, going to draw a picture together of your family. Okay, so this family is holy and this family is holy. Set apart for a purpose, set apart for a purpose. And so after you have your family drawn, then each time when you set up your space, you'll put both these, the Holy Family and then your Holy Family right there. Okay? Then there's the teaching here that kind of ties, and it ties how we gather as a church community. We come together for Mass, and that we have ways that we set our space at Mass. We have candles, we have pews, we have flowers, and when you go in the next time, you can kind of show them. See the things that are set out to tell us this space is special. And it also says the church also values our individualness, so we each get to sing and respond, each by ourselves, okay? So that idea of our faith being individual, but yet communal. And then it also says that we too at Mass have a special handshake during the sign of peace. So that is something that we also do. I mean, it's not a scripted one. I mean, it is kind of scripted, but not, there's no somersaults involved. Okay. And then it says, finally, to gather is to do something on purpose. We do this in our homes and in our church. The more we gather, the better we become. And then there is a prayer that goes each time that maybe one of your other children could read. You could take turns, that just kind of ends this session and kind of pulls this whole thing together. Okay, comments, questions, thoughts. Be honest, be open. I mean, we're ready to hear how this is feeling for you right now. Yes? Okay, so each session this session, the things that go with this session are these pieces here. For this second session on forgiveness, the lotion, because this is all about how Jesus taught us how to behave. And so they have to actually try to get this lotion. They have to push it out on a plate, and then they have to try to get it back inside. And they can't. And so the idea that we can't take back the things, so it's just a teaching in there. And then at the end of the session, they actually have to go around and say something nice about every person in your family. So that's a piece of it. And then these little story tokens are a piece of the third lesson. Okay, so these we just showed you. So these are all the pieces you'll be dealing with for the first 3 sessions. Anything else?